Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever the heck in the world you are. It's the one and only notorious, glorious V coming to you live with my main man, Dex, the Algocapitalist. And folks, if you don't know who Dex is, you've been living under a rock somewhere, God knows where. Dex is the man. Check him out. PulseScanTrading.com. PulseScanTrading.com. That is the place. You want to learn how to trade. You want to learn how to trade with the big boys. Well, you better check out Dex. You can also check out his channel. Dex, what's your YouTube channel, man?
That would be Algocapitalist.
There you go. Algocapitalist, baby. Check it out. With that being said, Dex, what's going on, bro? What's new? What's crack-a-lacking with you?
Man, it is so much going on in the news and absolutely nothing at all.
Well, I'm going to unleash you, my man. You know, we got about 25 minutes to run this down, 25, 30 minutes or so. Let's tear it up, dude. Where do you want to begin?
All right, well, let's see here. I think we'll start with the elephant in the room, the infighting between the global elites and the White House. Those that hate Trump and want to try to get him out of office as quickly as possible, and those that love him. Trump actually wants to do a lot of good things for the economy. For one, he wants the stock market to go even higher. As far as he's concerned, prices are not high enough. He wants another bubble. That's what he wants. And he wants to bring jobs back to the country. The way that he wants to do this is by letting the bond prices fall low enough to trigger a couple of more rate hikes, and also that accompanied with trade tariffs would put pressure on US companies to bring back their manufacturing to the US. So that's what he is hoping will come of these tariffs and these trade wars. All right, so that's a good thing for the US because it brings back jobs. As you know, we lost all of our manufacturing jobs between the dot-com bubble bursting in 2000 and then the financial crisis of '08. So between those two milestones in US economic history, we have been in a terrible, terrible economic downturn, regardless of what they say on TV. So Trump's way to fix that is with the trade tariffs and with allowing the interest rates to rise while the delicate balancing act of keeping the dollar floated above 90. And right now, the dollar's sitting about 93 after touching close to 96. So that's kind of where we are right now. A lot of infighting going on. Those that hate Trump actually want to bring about a market crash. They want to crash the market. They want to bring it down heavily for multiple reasons. The first reason is to humiliate the president, Donald Trump. The second reason is so that they can roll out their plan. They have an agenda too, but it's very dark and it's very deadly. That's what they want to do. It should be also noted that there were some major things that never made the mainstream news, and that was several airlines being stopped because of some type of deadly virus. Of course, they said
Yeah,
flu, but it was something
crazy,
totally
right?
different.
There was like 80 people that were infected on a flight from the Emirates. 10 went to the hospital. It's kind of crazy, bro.
The last count I saw, it was like 3 or 4 different airplanes, and it was all
Wow.
around the same time period at various airports in the U.S. So sorry, that's not a coincidence.
Yeah, no, there's just no way. That's man. You got a whole bunch of people coming in from Dubai, which is not a third world country or a third world state by any stretch of the imagination. Their infrastructure is way beyond ours. And you're
Correct.
coming in from a place like that to here, and then you're landing in JFK in New York. And you got like a damn near 100 people infected with high fevers. That's
Yep.
not normal. Those fever, and they were fine when they were getting into the plane. All of a sudden, they become feverish. 6 hours into the flight. That don't make no sense, man.
That's the deep state right there. I
Hell
tell
yeah.
you, they're trying to bring about.
And they clammed that up real quick.
Yep. That's what they're about. I'm telling you, that's what they're not. That's where the war is being fought right now. So Donald Trump's being attacked on all sides, and that's where we are. And meanwhile, the markets are doing what they're doing now. Believe it or not, the market has been basically sleep. Little creeps here and there to new highs, and then you sell off hard. The only market that has been moving in a steady pace has been the Dow, which is very interesting because the Dow, the Dow 30, it's only 30 stocks. The Nasdaq has 100 has 100 companies, and the S&P 500 you got 500 companies, and then the Russell 2000 is 2,000 small cap companies, and the Russell has been basically headed sideways to slightly lower in price, while the Dow has been hitting trying to hit new highs. And then the Nasdaq's been selling off also. It's caught in a range between 76 and the high 74.90, somewhere in there. That's where it's kind of stuck at. So we've been just moving sideways in most markets. Gold and silver also. They just can't rally. No matter what they do, they just cannot rally, and they keep hitting new lows also. So that's where we are. And the reason why the market is kind of like confused is because of all the infighting. They don't know which way to go. Trump wants to go, higher, and then the deep state wants things to go lower. Meanwhile, the markets are in absolute disarray because they don't know what to do. But it's funny how they're able to manipulate the Dow, but they couldn't manipulate the NASDAQ and the Russell, which is very, very telling. Reason being is because back in 2007, the same situation was happening. All right, you had all the indexes hitting new highs, but the Nasdaq was not. The Nasdaq only rallied back 50% of its losses from the 2008 2009. All right, so that's what I'm sorry, from 2000, the Dow only recovered half of what it lost in 2000 when the bubble bursted. So that let me know back in '07 that something was wrong, and that the whatever rally we were looking at was manufactured and was doomed to fail. So when August of '08 rolled around, that's when the strings started to become unraveled. So what we have here now is a situation where the Russell is not rallying, it's heading lower along with the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq and Russell really aren't participating. It's just the Dow, and it's taking the S&P, which is its little cousin, with it. So that's where we are right now. So it's just a weird time for the United States. And I think that is because of some other issues that are happening under the surface. Lately, everything in the movies and on television and TV series has been revolving around alien invasions and and Satan. Everything's Satan and witchcraft and aliens. TV, news, it doesn't matter. You go on Netflix, everything's alien, 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 apocalypse, apocalypse, apocalypse. Even the new title for the American Horror Story is titled Apocalypse. So everything is revolving around that. And you have to wonder, why is this intentional programming going this way? What is it that they're trying to program the people about? What do they want the people to get ready for? What are they saying? What are they really trying to tell us? And I think that when you examine it more closely, you'll see that the West is becoming darker and darker. They're starting to celebrate everything that 50 years ago would have given people a heart attack. They're throwing up these Baphomet statues in cities all over America. They're pushing, witchcraft and Satanism all over the place, and they're doing it boldly. Then we got this whole feminist agenda going strong with the Me Too movement. They're even trying to push that against, the president again. When they try to defame him, it's funny because it didn't stick. The Me Too thing didn't stick with him. So now they're trying to do it on that Kavanaugh guy, trying to hit him with sexual harassment stuff. Notice that they're not coming
From
after.
when he was in high school.
Exactly, because they
So
have not no
stupid.
dirt on them. So they have to manufacture dirt, and it's not hard to get people to come forward and say, um, "Yes, this person raped me." or this person did something to me that I didn't want or didn't like. Even if it's not true, all you have to do is lean on the individual. Most people have things in their closet they don't want people to know about. And if they dig it up, all they have to do is lean on the person to say, this is what you're going to say, this is what you're going to do if you want us to drop the charges against your brother who's facing life in prison. And they'll say, okay, fine, I'll do it. Yes, uh, Kavanaugh, yes, he did. He fondled me back when we were in high school. And then when they cross examine the person, ma'am, isn't it true that you guys were boyfriend and girlfriend back in high school? Yes. And now you say he inappropriately touched you? Yes. Explain yourself. I can't. Isn't it true that you also got pregnant and had an abortion? Yes. And yet you say he inappropriately touched you? Yes. Come on. It's a joke, but you know what? People take it as real. It's like we're in an environment now where you can't tell what's real and what's fake, because not just because of technology, but because there's this deep spirit of deception that is going to and fro in the earth like it's never been before, to the point where you can't even trust what you see, like the old adage, seeing is believing. Not anymore. Not anymore, because someone can throw up a video of the president cussing somebody out and robbing a bank, and everybody was like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe the president just robbed the bank." People would believe it because when you look at the image, you see it looks like Donald Trump and sounds like Donald Trump, and it's amazing. But because of CGI technology, and there's another technology, I don't know the name of it offhand, but they can take a person's image and voice and write up a script and actually make it appear and look like you were there, you said it, or you did it, and the burden of proof will be on you to prove that it wasn't you and that you didn't do that. Someone had posted a news interview commercial thing where they were talking to the people with that technology, and it was crazy. They made up a script and then demonstrated how easy it is to do. And they did a script for Donald Trump, and you saw him like it was a real press conference saying some just outlandish things. And it was like, see, if you didn't know, if we didn't tell you, you wouldn't know this. It was just amazing. So CGI and um, what was Adobe Photoshop? Those are some powerful programs, along some other things. So it's just scary times we live in, where if the media comes after you, they can get you, they can destroy you, and they can ruin your image in the culture and make everybody hate you, even though you've done nothing wrong. They can make people think you've done something wrong, and that's all they really aim to do anyway, is to plant the seed of doubt. And so that's what we are right now. So I think that's what they're preparing us for. They're preparing us for a godless society, once and for all. That's what the battle is. People think that the battle is between Caucasians and non-Caucasians, because they put that together so that there can be infighting, so that you're not fighting the power that be. You're fighting each other. So white people coming after black people and vice versa, and racism this and racism that. Where at the end of the day, there is no institutionalized racism like it used to be, 50, 60, 100 years ago. That's been pretty much stomped out. Yet you have individual races, correct? All right. All of us, to some degree, are bigoted. If you break things down to the essence of their root meanings, it just means to be decisive, meaning that we favor one thing over another. All right. If you favor using your left arm over your right arm, does that make you a right wing racist? No. It just means you favor your left over your right. So that's what we are now. And then this MK Ultra program, it's really not MK Ultra what they're doing now with the media. It's something else, and I don't know the correct term for it, but I know exactly what it is. What it is you switch the meanings of words, and then you have it massively repeated, repetition. You make it so that it's repeated in children's curriculums in the public school system. You reiterate it with all the different TV shows and cartoons and movies, to the point where it's now the people have been programmed to believe that this word means something else now than what is originally intended. So they do that. And so now if you question the establishment, you're either a racist or you're a sexist or you're a homophobe. All right. If you question or speak out against anything, you're a racist. You're a homophobe. And that's where we are now. We are looking at the last days of Western culture and society as we know it. All right. The enemies of the culture have successfully infiltrated and defeated Western culture and society 100%. All right. They've torn it apart and they've done it piece by piece. And it started way back when in the 60s. And there are several individuals, I think you can still find them on YouTube, where they were talking about this in the 60s. They told us what was going to happen and what they were in the process of doing, and they've done it. All right. It's just phenomenal. They were saying how, you know, they were going to do things in stages, and they said in 20 years, you won't be able to tell the country from then. And the guy Yuri something, Yuri with a B, I can't pronounce the name. He was being interviewed back in like 1982 or 1983, and he was explaining the repercussions of the Cold War and how uh, Russian KGB has infiltrated American society. They were saying, okay, America won the Cold War, but we're going to win the long war, and that's what happened. And they were saying how they were going to infiltrate, specifically what they were going to do, and they named it piece by piece. And then you had a few other individuals on YouTube explaining what was going to happen. This was in the 60s. He said, the first thing you're going to see is they're going to start mimicking sex acts on TV. Now, remember, this is the 60s. This is the Leave It to Beaver, Joan and Ward Cleaver days. All right. Where your TV show characters slept in different beds. Husband and wife slept in different beds. So the things that these people were saying you're going to see happening was shocking and considered outlandish back then. Okay, they were saying you're going to see those kind of things, and they talked about pushing, the homosexual agenda and how they were going to, and what was going to become of that, and what that was going to lead to. Then they talked about how the women's liberation movement, how it was going to turn into a feminist movement, and that's what we are right now, and how history is actually repeating itself. Look at what we've done. We have clowned the father figure role model perception. That's been clowned and thrown out the window. How did they do that? They did it over time by starting to slowly incorporate and show you the father figure in the home becoming irrelevant or a joke. So you would see fathers disrespected on all the sitcoms. Name your show. It doesn't matter. Anything from Sanford and Son to Married with Children. All right. So you start seeing the dysfunction in the family and the removal of the head of the family. Then they start saying, okay, no more you're going to see male superheroes. You're going to see female superheroes. And so the women became more masculine and the guys became more feminine. And they kept pushing this agenda even in elementary school. And then you had these pop psychology nuts say, men have to get in touch with their feminine side. And so over time, men became more feminized. And what did that lead to? That led to an explosion of sodomy with males. All right. And then you start having butchery with females. So the females are becoming men and masculine, and the men are becoming feminized. And that's where we are right now, to the point where right now they claim that 5% of the US is part of the LGBTQ community. 5% of the citizens. And in some jurisdictions and some schools, especially even high schools and elementary schools now, that the LGBTQ community is the largest section of the school. more than any other minority class. And that's where we are now. They're not. And then what happened? The educational system, which was always suspect from the beginning, started to become worse and go downhill to the point where you're not educating children how to think. Instead, you're indoctrinating them. Same thing with universities. Universities made a deal with the federal government. Oh, someone just typed it in the yes, Yuri Bezmenov. Yeah, he has some kind of name. He changed his name to some kind of American name. I don't remember what it was, but yes, that was his name. So, what they did was they had an agreement with the federal government. Federal government said, we're going to come out with this plan, and we're going to basically um, through the back alley, we're going to fund all the American university institutions. How are you going to fund these institutions? Because we're going to start giving out these college loans, okay? And we're going to backstop it. So you had the universities now flooded with so many college applicants that they was like, we're running out of places to put these people. So then they say, okay, this is what you do. You come up with these liberal arts degrees, and they start making degrees for the most outlandish things that you will never be able to make a career out of and have a well-paying job from.
You
Just
mean
so
you mean like when I majored in Japanese gay art, music, and therapy? You
there you
mean that
go.
degree is worthless?
Exactly, worthless degrees and worthlessnesses. So you got people saying, "Oh, I'm educated. I have a degree." Yeah, but you have a degree in nothing, and you still don't know how to think for yourself. So they have destroyed our American society, and it's Western culture in general. It has been destroyed. So the war is done. It has already been won, and not one bomb was dropped. Not one nuke was detonated. You don't need to use nukes and bullets. Not when you can, you know, cause this subversion the way they have done. The subversion has been deep. It has been going on since the 60s with the whole, free love and all of that stuff. And notice how that was sparked with what? LSD drugs given by whom? The federal government. Everything that has been done here in this culture to destroy it has dropped from the top down. All right. We have adversaries within the federal government who were turning and steering the country downhill. And every time a president was elected to, to change things, they would assassinate. Every president they would assassinate, and that's what they've done. So now it got to a point where no longer will anyone who just wants to run for office be allowed to run for office. Instead, the people they put down there are selected for you. There's no way for you to win. You have to raise tens of millions of dollars just to run for president. What kind of foolishness is that? But that's what they've built for us. So what we're seeing is the breakdown of society as you know it, and them establishing and building a new society. In this new society, it will have absolutely no tolerance for anything other than the status quo of the new society. That means if you're a Judeo Christian, you're an enemy. We must stomp you out. Hence, California trying to outlaw the Bible. If you are a heterosexual male, all right, you better not open your mouth about it, or we're going to send the goon squad after you. All right. The only thing that's allowed in the new society is an LGBTQ society. All right, under that flag, that's what it is. And the person at the top of their flag is the Baphomet. So picture the Baphomet, draped in the LGBTQ rainbow cloud. That's our new society. And new society
Well, the
does not.
Baphomet is like a hermaphrodite, man, and he's got like male and female parts.
Correct.
There you go.
Correct. And doesn't it make sense? You have men now trying to surgically enhance themselves to have female body parts, and females getting themselves surgically enhanced to have male body parts. So isn't that interesting? Yeah, Baphomet is their leader, whether they know it or not. Some outright are worshiping the Baphomet, then others are doing so by proxy without even being aware of it. I mean, just think about it. They come up now with these magic kits now that they're sending people through the mail so you can start your career in battery and being a witch. And it's just so ridiculous what's going on now. So many open doors in this country have been opened. Especially when they told you that a Ouija board was a toy and a board game that you can buy your children. And people being ignorant as they are, they've been opening up all types of dark spiritual portals, and you don't know what or whom is coming out of it. And the society has just gone mad. All right. That's why you're seeing more phenomena. You're seeing more, signs in the heavens. You're seeing more paranormal activity, and you're seeing more cryptids coming out in broad daylight now. It used to be that cryptids would only lurk in the darkness of the night, but now they're bold enough and coming out in broad daylight. All right, all types of testimonies, and it's even hitting the mainstream news now, where they're being pressured. They don't have a choice but to cover it, especially when things are happening right behind the camera when they're filming. So just all types of just craziness is happening now, and there's no way to put the genie back in the bottle. So where do we go from here? This is what I expect. Now there are two different directions. There's a fork in the road. This is where we are. All right, it's too late to turn back. All right, it would take at least 20 to 30 years to turn this ship. All right, so we're not even looking at that. This is what's coming. You got two directions that we're going. The deep state that's been behind the fall of the American economy and society as we know it, these are the same people that want to make it so that gold and silver become worthless, physically and legally worthless. That the American citizen won't even think about owning it anymore. And by doing so, to keep the prices suppressed to such a low level that most people will be like, man, I'm just going to sell my gold and silver and be done with it. The reason they want to do that is because they want to control every avenue of individual wealth that is possible by closing all of those gaps. Because the only thing that you'll be able to use is this new currency, this new digital electronic currency that's going to be running on the 5G network, and it's going to be they'll be using some type of government made blockchain technology for it. We're already here. The control grid is ready to go up. All they need now is the catalyst they've been waiting for to roll it out. And it doesn't even have to be big. All they have to do is, allow some disaster like 9/11 to take place, and people will be begging for the new infrastructure. And that's what's going to happen. So we don't know if that's going to come by natural disaster or by some other means. But that's kind of what they're preparing everybody for with all these TV shows of alien apocalypse and Satanism. Now, it should be noted that when we say, alien invasion, we don't mean little green and gray men. All right, we're not talking about the fallen angels. We're talking about foreign entities invading the U.S. That's what we're talking about. There are two ways they can do that. The first way they can do it is in the form of UN intervention. We're sending in the UN peace keeping troops to keep peace because society's breaking down and it's just anarchy. So the UN peacekeeping troops come in. All right, they can. So that's a nice way to do it by stealth. And then once they're here, you clamp down the martial law, roll out your new system. That's the first way they can do it. The second way they can do it is to cripple our infrastructure, which doesn't take much. You don't even need really an EMP to do that. They keep telling people about the electromagnetic pulse because it's going to be impossible to do that. So they want to make you think that it's extremely possible to do it. It's not. It's a lot harder than they let on. But you don't need an EMP pulse to do that. There are other means to do that. With hacking, China's really good at that. So you allow some other natural disaster to take place, like whether it be some type of, you know, enemy attack or what have you, and then they can roll it in that way too. So anyway you slice it, the end game is to have the UN peacekeeping troops on boots on the ground in America once everything goes topsy turvy. Now here's going to be the funny part, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again 10 years later. While society is crumbling and falling apart, the Dow will probably be around 40,000. Whatever happens in the street will have no bearings on the stock market. That's the weird part. You would expect for the stock market to just utterly collapse, commodities, whatever else. No, no, it's going to be the opposite. You're not going to know when it's coming. The markets are going to stay up and high, and while everything is around it is falling apart. I told you that back in 2011, I think it was 2010. The first time I was interviewed on the late great Charles McGrath show, and I talked and I let people know what the plan was. Back then, I said, prepare for the father of all stock market rallies, and this is when the market was in a bear market, and no one believed me. And then here we are today, tens of thousands of points later in the Dow.
And
It's
climbing.
going higher while things around us are falling apart.
Yep, exactly. Dex, man, thank you so much for being on. It's always a pleasure. It's always fun, my man. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
And dude, plug your social media as well as your website, bro. Go for it.
All right. You can, the website is postwavetrading.com. My YouTube is Algocapitalist. And you can also follow me on Twitter at the Vulcan Report on Twitter.
There you go. With that being said, folks, we are over and out.